Hey, it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. Who I am busy today. If it ain't working, I'm updating y'all on the newest court dockets. So, Diddy has filed a motion to dismiss the count three of the superseding indictment. Y'all, I'm just trying to figure out why only count three? Why not all of it? But let's go on and hop on into this update. So before we get into it, count three of the superseding indictment, there was a total of three counts. The first count was the racketeering conspiracy. The second count was, if we get there, ex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion. And then the third count was transportation to engage in Lady of the Night activities. That's what we're going to call it. So I thought it was very interesting that he's only moving to, um, you know, push for this particular charge to be dropped. But let's hop right on into his motion to dismiss. So they filed their notice actually on yesterday. Notice of motion to dismiss count three of the superseding indictment. Please take notice that upon the accompanying memorandum of law, defendant Sean Combs, by and through his underside attorneys, will move this court at the United States Courthouse at a date and time determined by the court for an order dismissing count three of the superseding indictment. Hmm. All right. Very, very interesting. Mark Agnafilio is he's representing Diddy on this one. So I don't know if Diddy's pressuring them. He's like, look, man, I can't do this no more. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down for the other two, not for that third one. That's that's just me playing. Anywho's, here's the memorandum to support their reasoning as to why count three, which is the transportation of the Lady of the Night, should be dismissed. Let's see some things. All right. So, intro. I love the intro because it kind of gives us a review of what the case is about and what they're planning to do. So, this case is unprecedented in many ways, but perhaps more notably and most disturbingly, no white person has ever been the target of a remotely similar prosecution. Sean Combs is an extraordinarily successful artist, businessman, philanthropist, and one of the most accomplished supposed to be black person in this country. He started his first company, Bad Boy Entertainment, based on his vision for a new type of business headed by a young black executive emphasizing black excellence and achievement. Over the ensuing decades, he forged a path marker career consistent with that vision. He went on to create many businesses, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a television network, and media company with strong reputations operating in competitive industries and employing thousands of people around the globe. Yet, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York accuses him of being the kingpin of a RICO enterprise, essentially defined as Mr. Combs himself, and claims the purpose of this faux enterprise is to conduct his personal ex life with his girlfriends. Mm. There has never been a similar RICO prosecution. It is true, like many others who have achieved fame and fortune in the world of entertainment, Mr. Combs has employees, staff, personal assistants, chefs, bodyguards, and other associates that he lawfully employs for different purposes. It is also true that like many other celebrities, Mr. Combs had complicated relationships with significant others as well as with alcohol and drugs throughout his time in the spotlight. But that doesn't make him a racketeer or a ex-trafficker. And unlike in other cases involving similar charges, here there is no accusation that any of his girlfriends were minors or that Mr. Combs raped anyone. Instead, the government has concocted a criminal case based primarily on allegations that Mr. Combs and two of his longtime girlfriends sometimes brought a third party, a male escort, into the sexual relationships. Each of the three charges in this case are premised on the theory that this type of sexual activity is a federal crime. No white person has ever been charged with any of these offenses on similar allegations, but the most obvious evidence Mr. Combs has been consciously, consciously singled out and selectively prosecuted because of his race in count three, which charges a violation of the White Slave Act. Oh gosh, Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 2428A. He's pulling a race card. He's pulling a race card. I get it, because if let me just finish reading it. The unusual theory of count three, transporting escorts across state lines for purposes of Lady of the Night activities, has never been brought before under this act, which has a long and troubling history as a statute with racist origins used to target black men and supposedly protect white women from them. The use of escorts, male or female, is commonly and indeed widely accepted in American culture today, and the primary escort service at issue in this case, ooh, I don't know what escort service that is, but it is a legitimate commercial business operating out in the open, frequently featured in popular media, including a long running TV series. It is not uncommon for couples using such services to bring a third person, including, as alleged here, a man, across state lines and into their intimate relations. Yet no other person, and certainly no white person, has ever previously been prosecuted under the White Slave Traffic Act for hiring male escorts from another state. Mr. Combs has been singled out because he is a powerful black man and he is being prosecuted for conduct that regularly goes unpunished. Count 3 should be dismissed because he this is a clear case of selective prosecution. All right, let's see what this White Slave Act is. Background. So, count three of the superseding indictment, the White Slave Act count alleges transportation to engage in prostitution, which is a violation of Title 18 of the United States Code, sections 241. I'm sorry, 2421, paragraph A and 2. Count 3 alleges that from 2009 to 2024, Mr. Combs knowingly transported individuals in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individuals engage in prostitution, and specifically female victims and commercial ex workers. The conduct at issue alleges involved sexual activity by Mr. Combs and his adult girlfriends. This includes what the indictment describes as freak offs, instances in which Mr. Combs and two of his girlfriends would bring a third person into their intimate relationships. Let's see. Footnote 1 reads, unlike the false narrative spreading throughout the media that Mr. Combs had freak off parties in which he had sex with numerous people, including A-list celebrities or minors, none of this is accurate and is not even the government's contention. The government has alleged that freak offs happened with two females, both whom were longtime partners of Mr. Combs, and never happened at any parties. That's interesting because so many people came out and stated they talked about these parties. Their argument why count three should be dismissed as an instance of selective prosecution. The act has a troubling history of racist enforcement. The law, now codified as Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 2421, was enacted by Congress in 1910. Congress named the law the White Slave Traffic Act. It is now colloquially referred to as the Mann Act after its author, James Robert Mann, no doubt as part of a collective effort to obscure the statute's racist origins. But those racist origins are plain, though, or plain enough. The statue was born out of hysteria that white slaves were preying upon young women, coercing them into prostitution through threats, intimidation, and force. Oh, Lord Jesus. One of the bill's backers describes how he had read about a Negro who had purchased a white wife and she was offered for sale in Chicago. He claimed that American born girls from good homes were being tricked into prostitution, then sold to all men who could pay the price, young men or old, clean or unclean, healthy or diseased, black or white. Representative Mann urged, apparently in all seriousness, that such white slave trafficking was worse than this country's history of chattel slavery. All of the horrors which have been urged, either truthfully or fancifully, against the black slave traffic pale into insignificance as compared to the other horrors of the so called White Slave Act. Of course, there was little actual evidence that any such traffic existed. Congress nonetheless passed Mann's White Slave Traffic Act. What was racist in the inception has often been racist in its operation. The statute's target was black male sexuality, and from Jack Johnson to Chuck Berry, the statute's most notorious prosecutions targeted famous black men accused of deviant sexual behavior. Oh, they have. Ooh, that's a whole act. I gotta read that. That's interesting. This case continues the trend. In count three, the government charges a violation of the act based on allegations that Mr. Combs transported male escorts from a from a legal escort service across state lines to have sex with his girlfriends. Whew. The charging decision in this case evinces impermissible bias. The discretion afforded federal prosecutions and their charging decisions, while broad, is nonetheless subject to constitutional constraints. A charging decision may not be based on an unjustifiable standard such as race, religion, or other arbitrary classifications. Where a charging decision has a discriminatory effect and was motivated by a discriminatory purpose, the charge is invalid and can be rejected by the judiciary. To show discriminatory effect, a defendant must show that similarly situated individuals of a different classification were not charged. Hmm. In this case, that is easy. High profile white men, including former New York Governor Eliot Spitzer, have engaged in similar conduct but were never charged under the act. Many couples, including wealthy, high profile couples, involve third parties in their sexual relationships, sometimes for implicit or explicit remuneration. This is disturbing. Such conduct has never previously triggered Mann Act liability. Nor have any similarly situated individuals been charged for using male escorts or male prostitutes. Count three in this case is particularly based on Mr. Combs's occasional use of male escorts, including a service called Blank. The indictment alleges that he hired escorts using that service and that the escorts crossed state lines to come to hotels where they had sex with women. But Blank is not some secretive underground operation that was previously unknown. It has been operating in the open for over a decade. It has a website and over 10,000 followers on X, formerly known as Twitter. As the company's own press stages, wait, as the company's own press page states, its operations have been featured in Playgirl, Glamour, Sheen, Hustler, Cosmeto- Cosme, Cos, Cosmopolitan, I can't even talk, and Esquire magazine. Its CEO actively courts attention, media attention, and has been repeatedly interviewed on the national talk shows and the national news. If y'all know who that is, please put it in the comments because I have no clue. In fact, Blink and its CEOs have been regularly featured on the popular Showtime TV show Blank, which aired for 6 seasons. Oh gosh. According to the CEO, the company's service have exploded in popularity because of all of this publicity. Gosh. It is well known that the escorts from Blank sometimes, indeed regularly, have X with their clients. The company does not explicitly advertise Lady of the Night services, but nor does it forbid or discourage X. While it does not advertise X, it has said that anything that may or may not happen between escorts and a client is a matter of personal choice and personal preference between two or more consenting adults. To call this an open secret would only be half correct, as it is not a secret. For example, the company's founder has admitted to consulting adults when you're spending a lot of time with each other, things happen. I'm sure it happens. And two clients interviewed on ABC's Nightline admitting to having X with their blank, with the news crew's camera following one couple to their hotel door. And the escorts regularly and openly cross state lines to provide their services. The companies advertise blank located in cities around the country, including, of course, New York, and it offers travel packages around the country and around the world. Our men will travel worldwide if with you if requested. This is interesting. Because I could have sworn they just have a fancy way of calling it. Whether you calling it an escort is still who child. As far as the defense is aware, prior to this case, no one has ever previously been prosecuted for using blank. No federal prosecutor in this district or any other has targeted the company, its CEOs, or its escorts. Nor has any prosecutor previously targeted any customer who purchased escort services from blank. Thousands of customers have used Blank over the last decade, including couples who have hired an escort who later has Blank with a female. But none of those similarly situated individuals has ever been charged with a crime. Mr. Combs, a successful black musician and businessman, is the first and only defendant ever to be charged under Section 2421 for hiring male escorts. This is a clear case where the defendant has been singled out for prosecution. To show discriminatory purpose, a defendant must show that the government's charging decision was invidious or in bad faith. Here, the fact that Mr. Combs is the first and only person ever charged for hiring escorts from Blank or other similar publicly operating escort services is itself strong circumstantial evidence of discriminatory purpose. Ooh, man, they may got something here. Beyond that, however, the government's handling of this case demonstrates bias and animus. It has gone out of its way to humiliate Mr. Combs and to prejudice the jury pool with pretrial publicity that plays on racist tropes. It has leaked damaging and oftentimes false material to the press. It refused Mr. Combs' offer of self surrender. It raided his home with utterly unnecessary military level force and forcibly detained and handcuffed his sons. None of this was necessary and none of it was normal. It is precisely the sort of conduct that suggests bad faith and racial animus. There we go. This prosecution is yet another stance where Section 2421 has been invidiously deployed against a prominent black man. Count three should be dismissed. In the alternative, at a minimum, this court should order discovery regarding the government's charging decisions. To obtain discovery on a selective prosecution, a defendant need only produce some evidence of discriminatory effect and intent. In other words, a defendant satisfies this preliminary burden by adducing some evidence that similarly situated defendants of other races could have been prosecuted but were not. This standard is easily met here. And I agree. If he has been the only person, the only black man to be charged under this, mm, conclusions for the reasons count three of the superseding indictment should be dismissed. I think that is a case there. Oh, all right. So after they submitted that right there, I've never heard of that act before, and it's very very interesting. It's interesting to hear the origins of the act, but to see that Combs has been the only person to be charged for violating that act and nobody else. Mm, man, oh man. All right, so this is the letter from, I think Mark submitted it. Yeah, Mark Agnafilio. Once again, that is Diddy's criminal trial attorney. He stated that rewrite in reference to the above caption case to request that the court rule on Mr. Combs' motion for bill of particulars. As your honor is aware, we requested at the December 2024 status hearing that the court keep the defense motion open pending our receipt of discovery in this case. Counsel stated that we expect that there will be some new issues, motions, whether it be bills of particulars, requests, or specific Brady requests that flow once all of the discovery is given to us. Pursuant to the court's scheduling order, the government provided defense counsel with their enterprise letter on February 1st, 2025. We have since conferred with the government requesting a list of anonymized victims and witnesses listed in the enterprise letter. The government responded that they will provide the defense with the list when they produce the 3500 material on March 21st, 2025. The government has produced over 20 terabytes of information, and it is impossible to do a proper defense investigation as to the allegations in the enterprise letter in less than 2 months without the names of the individuals, both alleged victims and potential witnesses who are listed in the enterprise letter. Oh my gosh. And here's the thing. So you guys are saying y'all can't do this. That is a lot of information. 20 terabytes of information is a lot. But your client, Sean Combs, Diddy, requested for a trial as soon as possible, and the court gave him what he wants. So you need to work around it. You better hire extra staff or whatever the case may be because you guys pushed for a quick, speedy trial and the earliest possible date for trial. Hmm. Respectfully, we seek a ruling from the court on our motion for a bill of particulars related to the alleged victims' names and also to the anonymized witnesses in the enterprise letter. And they submitted that on the 18th. All right. So, what do I want to say? The bill of particulars. Hold up. I usually have my notes um so I could tell y'all exactly what it is. So a bill of particulars is a written list of questions and answers that details the claims and defenses in a legal case. It's a discovery tool that helps both sides understand the other's case. So that is what they're wanting. More specifically, they are requesting the list of anonymized victims and witnesses. Once again, they're trying to get their hands on these folks' names. Now, here's a letter. Let's see that the government submitted. Enclosed for the court's consideration is a proposed addendum to the protective order in the above captioned case that has been executed by both parties at the defendant's request following the court's January 29, 2025 order denying the defendant's motion to amend the protective order. Because remember, they were trying to get their hands on uh the the 10 tapes. People are saying 9, but it was actually 10 tapes. So the defense counsel was trying to get their hands on 10 tapes, pretty much saying, they watched the video and they don't see that she was coerced in any way. In fact, she enjoyed it, so on and so forth. So it's a lot of back and forth. They also stated that there was some audio that needed to be I guess fixed. The lighting was dim, so they needed an expert to go in and kind of spiffy up so that way they can hear everything and they can see everything in good quality. And they even was going to have their experts, but because these tapes came from Cassie, that would be a violation of her privacy. And they want to ensure that she is still protective. So the court said no. The government gave you guys specific times that you can come and review the video at your request. They even offered an expert. So you make this work. You make this work. Let me see what the addendum was. So, upon the joint application of the United States of America and counsel to the defendant and the defendant having requested discovery, the court hereby finds and orders with respect to the material described in footnote 3 of October 7, 2024 protective order. All right, so January 14th, the defendant moved to amend the protective to order to treat the footnote 3 material as attorney possession only material. On January 29th, the court denied the defendant's application to amend the protective order without prejudice, meaning that they can file another application to amend the protective order, later on down the line. They also directed the parties to engage in further discussions, meaning y'all need to make this work. So get with the government, see when you are able to come with your own experts and y'all can come to some type of agreement of how to get the audio and video quality to, its good standards, or you can, help your defendant prepare for trial. Whatever the case may be, you just got to work it out with the government. Let's see. The parties have negotiated the restrictions below to govern the storage of and access to the footnote 3 material by defense counsel, the defendant, and the retained experts. So these are the 10 videos that Cassie provided to the government. Let me see. It says, now therefore, for good cause shown, it is hereby ordered that the footnote 3 material will be produced via 2 encrypted hard drives to Taney Goregos, who will have sole custody of the drives, which will be stored in a secure location at so it's going to be at the law office, Mark Agnafilio's office. The footnote 3 will not be viewed on or copied to a computer that connects to the internet. The password to the encrypted drives will be provided by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York solely to him. So it's not going to go to Mark Agnafilio or any of his associates. It's going to go directly to the expert. The defendant's retained audio and visual enhancement expert may be provided one of the 2 encrypted drives. Teeny may share the password to the drive only with the AV expert. Oh, wait. So who is Teeny? Okay. So okay. Maybe that is an attorney or somebody affiliated with Agnafilio. But Agnafilio, so he's not so anybody else is not going to have access. Only Teeny. Teeny is going to be the one who converse with the AV expert. So he's the only person that can share that with the AV expert. The AV expert may attempt to enhance the audio and visual quality of the footnote 3 material and to independently review and analyze its metadata. This work will be performed by the AV expert on a computer that has internet access disabled while the work is performed. If the AV expert creates any different versions of footnote 3 material, either video or still image, such enhanced material will be saved to the encrypted drive provided to the AV expert by Agnifilio law firm. No copies of the footnote 3 material or any enhancements made thereto will be saved on the computer used to perform work by the AV expert. The Mark Agnifilio's law firm will submit to the court, ex parte and under seal, a list of individuals who view the Foot 3 material, including any enhanced versions of the Foot 3 material created by the AV expert. The individuals permitted to view the Foot 3 material are limited to retained defense experts, witnesses who are depicted in the Foot 3 material, and defense counsel or personnel for whose conduct defense counsel is responsible. The Foot 3 material will only be shown to or viewed by individuals in the categories 1, 2, and 3. So everything that we just read up here. And does not connect to the internet. So it has to be in person on a computer that does not connect to the internet. The Foot 3 material and any portion thereof will not be viewed on a computer connected to the internet, any video conferencing platform, or shared via internet in any way. Within 1 week following either the jury verdict or the defendant's plea of guilty, the law firm, Mark Agnifilio's law firm, will return the 2 drives containing the Foot 3 material and any enhanced versions of the U.S. Attorney Office for the Southern District of New York, which will maintain custody of the drives until such time as the discovery can be destroyed in accordance with paragraph 12 of the protective order. Should any of the tapes, enhanced versions of the tapes, or still images of the tapes be marked as trial exhibits and or admitted into evidence at trial, the marked exhibits will be stored and accessed in accordance with the same requirement as the tapes. That is, on an encrypted hard drive in a secure location at Mark Agnifilio's firm, and viewed only on a computer that does not have any internet access. The parties will meet and confer in advance of any exhibit deadlines on a method of secure transmission for marked exhibits to the opposing party and the court. So if they are going to use anything from those tapes, whether the actual tapes, pieces of the tapes, still images, they still have to be marked a certain way and stored and accessed just as if they were the AV person was reviewing them. So secured access on a computer, no internet. Noting in the agreement limits either party's ability to offer the Foot 3 material into evidence at trial, and both parties reserve the right to raise objections to the admissions of the Foot 3 material into evidence. The provisions of this order shall not terminate at the conclusion of this criminal prosecution, and the court will retain jurisdiction to enforce this order following termination of the case. Whew, baby, that was a lot. So, 2 things happened here. One, your boy Diddy is trying to get this case, not get the case. He is trying to get count 3 dismissed. Count 3 was the transportation of I might as well say it, transportation of prostitutes, the male escorts. Okay, he's trying to get that dismissed. And their argument is that it falls under the what they call that darn thing, the White Traffic Slave Act. Yeah, no, I said the White Slave Traffic Act. Nobody in history has been uh charged up under this particular act. Nobody has been prosecuted under this act. This act originated where how can I say this? It targeted black men, famous black men, but nobody has been actually prosecuted under this act. And Diddy feels that he is being singled out, and he's not having it. He is not having it at all. I do believe that the court, they might have something here, and he just may have this charge dropped. Because if there's no case ever in history that shows that anybody was prosecuted under that act, or he might be the first one. Who knows? And then as far as the tapes go, they did work out, defense counsel did work out with the government to actually store these the 10 tapes that they had of Cassie. They're going to store it in a secured a location where only one person will actually have access and the password, and they will work with the AV specialist in order to get the audio and the video quality up to par. And if they do decide to have any still images or use portions of those videos in trial, they still have to follow the same set of rules as far as keeping it secured and not, you know, having anybody else get their hands on this. Because God forbid this comes out in the public. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. But y'all tell me what y'all think about this in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, you all be blessed and I'm out. Bye.